Exactly 6 minutes past the top of the hour. You're right on time for our last conversation this Tuesday morning. On our entrepreneurship segment, we look at domestic tourism. We center our focus on embracing domestic tourism, and if the figures by the Kenya Wildlife are anything to go by, which showed the increase by up to 40% as of January last year as far as revenue is concerned compared to what was in the year 2020 during COVID and also 2021. So we look at just how this industry is faring, some of the challenges still existing therein, and just perhaps what local tourists and travel companies are doing as far as this industry is concerned, and also how they are making ways in terms of getting more revenue and also bringing more Kenyans on board as far as domestic tourism is concerned. We look at that for the next 40 to 45 minutes, and my guests are already on set. I am holding court with Ida John, who is a tours consultant, and right next to her is Felicitas Muema, the director at Uwezo Tours and Travel Company. Ladies, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let me just start with you, Felicitas, as a director. Just very quickly before we go to domestic, travel and tourism in the country. Just very quickly, tell me about Uwezo Travel, when it was formed and what the idea was.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Felicitas. I'm one of the Uwezo Tours and Travelers directors. Uwezo Tours and Travelers, we have 1 year, and we do both local and international tourism.
You do both local and international?
Yes.
We'll come in a short while to understand which one brings more revenue, at least as far as you're concerned. Yeah. But this is 1 year down the line, and you came on board post-COVID. And I want to latch on this particular one with you, Ida. We are seeing this as one of those sectors in the country where it's still trying to recover. Yes, at least there's been an increase so far, momentarily, slowly in terms of revenue. But you came post-COVID. How did you find the environment?
It was
in the tour sector.
It was really hard, I can say that, because with COVID, no one was allowed to travel. Yeah. There was travel bans everywhere, not only in Kenya but around the world. And it was really hard for the bans to be lifted, people to adjust from staying at home and starting to travel again, and then savings. Most of those who travel, they usually save for them to travel. Yeah. So it was really hard, but at least now I can see it's picking. Yeah.
It's picking slowly.
Slowly.
Did you see this as a business to invest in? Just listening to what Ida is saying, that really this was one of those areas that was difficult during COVID and even slightly in 2021, now that you came on board in 2022. You could have decided to do any other kind of business. I mean, entrepreneurship is broad and big. So why settle on a business whereby you're seeing how difficult it is to just pick yourself based on the various companies already existing? Why settle on this one? Travel. Tourism.
Tourism.
Yeah.
Okay, personally, I like tourism. I like traveling a lot. And
this is like a hobby for you?
It's like a hobby. It's my hobby. And it happens, I had friends. We were like 5 friends. Then we decided, we used to travel a lot. These road trips, we used to travel. Then we sat down and decided, why can't we have our own company? We run this tourism thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So regardless of the challenges which we'll talk about in a short while, for you it emanated from the fact that this was a hobby for you.
Yes.
You enjoyed traveling.
We enjoyed traveling.
All right. Is this the same case for you, Ida?
Yeah.
You are a tourism practitioner. This is what you studied in school.
Yeah. I really love traveling a lot. I mean, going to new places. And not just traveling, I really love to go and experience the other people's culture. Yeah. Okay.
So then, if this is what you enjoy as a Kenyan, from your perspective, and even just as a practitioner, someone who has studied this, you have practiced this, why is it that when you speak to a good number of tours travel company, they will tell you it is the international market, the foreign market, that brings more revenue compared to domestic market. Why is that, from your experience?
From my experience, I would say, I think that was then, because right now, as we talk right now, domestic tourism is also improving. It's not like the time back. Most of youths, I'd say most of the youths are traveling a lot. They want to go and explore new things. They want to go and have fun with their friends. And at least I would say that the revenue is a bit lower because it's improving. But maybe I'd say the international tourism it's far much better compared to domestic.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you experienced the same? As in, for you, is it more of international clients compared to domestic market, and if so, why?
According to me, I would say domestic clients, according to me, domestic clients are more than international ones.
This is interesting.
I think that was their target when they were starting the company.
Right.
Yeah, they were targeting the domestic travelers.
So then you were saying that domestic, according to you, from your perspective, domestic client comprises of a bigger percentage compared to international market, which is different from what you'd gather from various different companies. What is so peculiar about this one that you would see more domestic clients compared to, as in more of us Kenyans compared to international clients?
Okay, I would say most of them, they don't see any need of like going outside. They just want to explore within within their country. Yes.
Okay, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You'll tell me also what is this that you've done in terms of marketing, perhaps strategies that you've put across that would increase, the domestic numbers, because I mean that's what we are here for. When we had the CS Penina Malonza visit Jamaica, it was to get more strategies of how we can at least improve our very own, domestic tourism. But before then, just talk to me about why, first of all, it's important to travel. Ida, why is it necessary? Even just traveling within your own place, within your own country, why is it important?
It's important because at least you get away from the normal things like work and go and relax. Going and relaxing, having fun with friends. You can also travel to meet your friends and family, because traveling is not just going to have fun. You can also travel for business. You go and do business when you're traveling for meetings and incentives.
So you cater for those that travel for holistically everything, for fun and for business?
Yeah, for business, for fun.
I see Felicitas agreeing. Which one comprises of the most? Those that travel for fun or for business?
I would say for fun.
For fun? Compared to for business?
Yeah, business you'll find a few. We want to go to Mombasa, we'll send stuff, Yeah.
All right. So then you say that traveling is important. It is necessary. At least it helps you get out of your normal kind of environment.
Yeah.
But still, much as you say that domestic has improved, from your perspective, 1 year down the line since the company was established, it's not so much so as how you'd expect, particularly especially when it comes to in terms of revenue. Just talk to me about some of these issues that you spot. Even just dealing with clients, for instance. Talk to me about domestic clients. What challenges do you spot when it comes to bookings and the likes?
Okay, I would say concerning bookings for domestic, you can get a client, he want to travel maybe to Masai Mara, or he or she wants you to give him your rates, and perhaps we are many, like we have so many traveling and travel agencies, companies, we are many. So he want to hear your rates. He has some other companies' rates, so he want to compare your rates and the other companies' rates, so that he can know who's to choose, the company to choose to go and travel.
Which rates are cheaper?
Which rates are cheaper.
Is that the biggest problem when it comes to bookings?
Yeah, that is the biggest problem. So you have to...
Competition.
Yeah, it's very high.
It's very high.
So then how do you navigate? Because there's really quite a number of local tours and travel company, especially now.
Yeah,
I remember in COVID, during COVID, especially in 2020, we did quite a lot of conversations with numerous tours and travel company, and also good number of them were coming up at that particular time. So staying afloat and staying in business, Listas is saying, and keeping up with the competition, what do you do? What strategy do you have?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Can I go? One, if someone is traveling, there is that unique thing they want. So you have to look for that thing and make sure he's satisfied. I mean, he gets what he wants. And if he gets what he wants, he will refer someone else to you. Mostly referrals will works for us, because if someone gets a personalized service, as in he gets what he wanted, he will definitely go and refer someone else to you and say, I traveled with this and this tour company, so if you want to travel, you can go and try them. Yeah.
What is this unique thing that you'd say?
Like going down from, like, what do you want?
Customer service?
Yeah.
Okay.
Customer service. You have to make sure that whatever he wants, he gets it. Yeah, no mistakes.
No mistakes.
Yeah.
So I want to stick a bit on this competition issues, competition matter, I should say. You are saying either that going to the nitty-gritty of what the customer or what the client wants.
Yeah.
Felicitas, how else do you stay afloat? You know, in business, competition is the biggest thing we could talk about, because that's what makes businesses run anyway. So aside from just going to the nitty-gritty of what a client would want, of what a customer would request, how else do you stay afloat in business with this competition, taking cognizance of the fact that there are numerous tours and travel companies in the country?
Okay, we offer some. Maybe when you travel with us, we give you a hood for free, T-shirts.
So there's incentives for
Yes.
for clients.
Yeah.
But that's mostly what other companies will do. Talk to me about this. Like, do you have strategies, for instance, just as a tours and travel company, do you have strategies, for instance, on how to stay afloat amidst high competition in the market? Because, again, you'd realize this is some of those businesses where someone would start because of the thickness of the market in terms of clients, whether it's international or local. But after some time, because of how numerous companies are there, they would just flop, because they can't stay afloat in terms of competition. Is there any strategy?
Marketing.
Marketing?
Yeah.
What about marketing?
Right now, we've been doing more of the social media, because that is where mostly we get our clients from. And that is where most of the youths who are traveling most are. So we've been doing a lot of marketing to make sure that we reach our clients. Yeah.
Social media?
Social media. We've got influencers to market for us on behalf of us. Yeah.
How has this helped your marketing strategy? Is this how you began when you're starting social media?
Yeah, that is how we began.
So that's still what you're doing?
Yeah.
Then how has it improved the revenues?
You know, social media right now, it's everything. Like, if you want to, and if someone wants something, like right now, if I want to buy a cup, I'll go on social media or maybe Google, where can I get this one? Go to social media, look for them there and see if I can get what I want. So taking advantage of the social media and marketing ourselves there has helped us improve a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that lack of knowledge of different travel destinations is what would make, let me say Kenyans, because we are Kenyans, speaking in our own context, that not having that knowledge of the different places that one could visit is one of the reasons as to why we don't have quite a lot of domestic clients. Felicitas, is that the case?
Yeah, I would say maybe somebody doesn't know Masai Mara very well, and unless you tell the client, when you go to Masai Mara, you will see the big five and this and this. So you have to tell the client about where he or she is visiting, so that he can have that knowledge when he goes there, what he's going to see.
How do
or
you do
to
this?
enjoy. Maybe we will come to our office and then we explain everything to you, or maybe we call, we tell you everything.
So assuming
talk to you.
I'm a client, and we're just talking about how we can perhaps increase our revenue in terms of domestic tourism, and here we are all agreeing that sometimes the lack of knowledge of the various destinations aside from Amboseli, Masai Mara, and those that we are aware of is part of what is making us not to increase this revenue. So how do you do your messaging to make Kenyans know that we have various destinations which are beautiful sceneries that they could visit? Tell me, Felicitas.
Like I said,
How do you do your messaging? How do you structure your messaging to tell Kenyans that we have interesting sceneries? Aside from what we know, aside from Amboseli, Masai Mara, you know, the common that we will know. How do you structure your messaging to inform Kenyans that we have interesting sceneries, we have interesting destinations that you might just want to explore and to visit, so that we can increase our domestic clientele in terms of tourism? How do you do this?
When coming up with the packages for various destinations, we usually make sure it has detailed information about the place where the package is for. Yeah, it's detailed. Like if it's Masai Mara, this is Masai Mara. This is how you'll go, and this is what you'll do. This is what you'll expect. This is what you'll see, and if it's places like as in like if you tell someone to go to Turkana right now, they'll be like, Turkana? What am I going to see there? But if you're making the package, you have to make sure it's detailed for them to see what is in Turkana, so that the interest can grow.
So let's just take a classical example now that you've mentioned Turkana. What is interesting there? Kenyans perhaps will be watching and want to understand that perhaps areas such as Marsabit, there's something interesting there. Areas such as Kat, there's something interesting there. Like you mentioned Turkana. I just want to understand, like, you were telling me that when when you do your packaging, you have all these details featured in there.
Yeah.
But just take a classical example of what you mentioned, Turkana. What is this that a Kenyan would want to go see in Turkana?
First of all, we have a national park there, national reserve, in Turkana. And we have Lake Turkana that is there. You can go and see. And we have craters in Turkana. You can go and Turkana, that is Turkana and Samburu. That is how the package, if you are to go to Turkana, we'll go to Samburu National Park and then Lake Turkana. Yeah.
Felicitas, aside from the common, I want to call them common areas because they're the areas that we are mostly aware of.
Yes.
Which other places in this country have beautiful sceneries that Kenyans would want to go visit? I'm just asking this because we are trying to look at how we can perhaps increase our domestic tourism, so that we don't keep saying all the time we're having conversations about tourism that international markets, foreign clients make the biggest percentage in terms of revenue as far as tourism is concerned, yet they're coming to see things that even us don't know that exist. So then which areas of this that perhaps are interesting in the country that, you know, Kenyans would want to go visit?
Okay, we have coastal areas. You can go and visit coastal areas.
It's what's interesting about the coast areas?
The
aside?
ocean,
Uh-huh.
the
Marine parks.
yeah, marine parks. Yeah.
Which other areas? Coast
Masai
is,
Mara.
Coast is one of those areas where if someone thinks of a holiday, they're just thinking coast. But I like how you said Turkana and areas that they are predominantly known to be dry areas. But you're telling me there's something interesting there. So aside from coast areas,
Mount Kenya region.
yeah, which areas are this in? Mount Kenya is very huge. We have about 10 counties there.
That's why it's Mount Kenya region.
So
Mount
which
starting from Abadias, Mount Kenya itself, for those who want to go and hike, we have Abadias, Mount Kenya. Nyuki is in Mount Kenya region. Yeah.
Personally, I enjoy hiking.
You enjoy.
Yeah. So then, okay, fine. Tell me, how do you deal with difficult clients, customers, Felicitas?
Okay, in case you get a difficult client, you first of all, you just have to listen to him. Maybe he is complaining about something. You be attentive. you listen, and then at the end, you just talk to the client. Yeah.
Have you had a situation where you've had a difficult client, perhaps they've booked, they've cancelled? I mean, these are some of those issues that most, companies face. I want to assume that when it comes to the international client, most of the time you really wouldn't experience this because their purpose to come to the country is for that. But then coming to our very own, like we Kenyans, have you had an experience with that? Someone booking, cancelling, or they just have an issue with perhaps even the destination, for instance, just a difficult client customer? And if this is the case, how have you dealt with that in a way that does not affect your business?
So far we've not gotten a client who is complaining. Maybe he has booked and he want to cancel the bookings. So far we have not gotten that client.
Most of them you find they are postponing.
They are postponing.
So then how do you deal with that? Because I'm assuming if someone is postponing, you've already cut out the day. Everything is planned.
When booking, we have the rules, terms and rules. So if you have to cancel your booking, then you have to make it earlier so that you do not incur cost. Yeah. And most of the clients you find, they want to go, yes, but their budget is very fixed.
Just hold it there. I want us to talk about that, budgeting and saving, because you earlier on said that for travel to take place, it's as a result of someone consistently saving for, going for auditions. So someone has put a budget, and then the budget is not fitting into perhaps what the rates are looking like. Maybe they booked, they say they were going to pay, and then they don't pay, and just some of these issues. I want us to take a very quick breather. We come back and we look at that and so much more. Also the issues of human-wildlife conflict, how this is affecting most of this domestic tourism and domestic clientele. We look at that and so much more after this breather. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. We definitely appreciate your valued company. We continue our pace with our conversation, looking at domestic tourism and just what channels we can employ to increase more revenue in terms of domestic tourism, and better yet, embracing domestic tourism. Still created first time with Ida John to my extreme right, who is a tour consultant and also a tours and travel practitioner. Right next to her is Felicitas Mwema, director at Uwezo Tours and Travel Company. Ladies, we're in a conversation. Now, before we took that break, you're talking about the issue of budgeting, just before you come to savings, and you are a bit explaining on that, Ida, that sometimes also it's good to budget, but sometimes it also does come up as a challenge when it comes to some clients. Just before we get to that bit, first talk to me about how to budget for travel. The reason why I ask this is because right now there's a lot happening in the country, especially when it comes to cost of living. One would even think about, why would I budget for going to the Mara? Why would I budget to go to see the crying stones in Kakamega? Why would I budget to go to Turkana, Marsabit? So just talk to me about first how you do your budgeting and put some percentage to travel.
When it comes to budgeting, you have first to look on where the clients want to go, and maybe what he wants to go and see. That is where you start from, because
so this is you as a client, that's where you start from.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
No.
You start with what?
Me as a consultant.
You as a consultant.
Yeah,
okay.
But for the client, maybe most of them you'll find they don't know where to go. They just have a budget. Like I think it was yesterday, someone just texted me, I have 15,000 and I want to go out during Easter period. That one. Just like that. He don't know where he wants to go. He has the money, but he doesn't know where
to go.
Yeah.
So as a consultant, how do you help this person travel? Now that they have the money, but they don't know where they want to go. Sometimes does not fit the budget of where they might even be imagining.
You have to make her understand your budget fits here, and maybe if you want to go somewhere else where your budget doesn't fit, we can postpone. You can start paying pole pole. I think you've heard of lipa pole pole.
Yes.
It's working nowadays. Maybe another, or there is group joining. We have different safaris. We have private, group joining, luxury safaris, and budget safaris. So based on what you want, if you want a private safari, it's a bit expensive because you have to, it's personalized, it's private, it's just you and you alone. You don't want to be with other people. You just want to go alone and have fun, maybe with your family or maybe with your friends. So if you come with a certain budget, I'll give you the rates of where your budget suits, and if you're not comfortable with that, maybe we can see what to do. It's not, if you want to go maybe to Masai Mara and you have the 15,000, you can do self-drive to Masai Mara, and when you go there, like that means if it's self-drive, you are not going to be charged on transport, so you will just have to pay for the accommodation, of which that means you'll have to stay in a budget camp.
So then, for listeners, when you listen to that, someone would have the money, maybe not enough. They are calling a consultant. They say they want to travel, but they don't know where. When you look at some of these issues, do you think this is what hampers the growth of domestic tourism? From your perspective, is this what hinders the growth of domestic tourism?
I can say yes. Yeah.
Tell me more.
You find somebody wants to go somewhere, he doesn't have enough money, and he really wants to go and visit the place. Maybe we can change the place where he wants to go. We look for somewhere else where his money fits. Maybe if he or she agrees, we just book for him. Yeah, we make a package.
If he agrees. If they don't agree, so then what do you do to this client? They really want to, whatever you've told them, they're not comfortable with that. And then you realize if they take the money, then they might never travel. So there's loss in terms of income, in terms of revenue altogether. So this, if that's the circumstance, then how do you go about it?
Can I go first?
Yes.
First of all, a client is always right.
That's the first rule of business.
Yes, he's always right. If he wants to go to Masai Mara, and that is where he wants to go, then you can't start changing him and telling him, go to Nairobi. You can go to Nairobi National Park, a day trip, and so. No. That's why I said we have a lipa pole pole plan. You can just talk to client and tell him, Ora, if it's suitable for you, you can start paying slowly. Ndio ifikie budget ya Masai Mara.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So then talk to me about savings for listeners. What is the best plan for savings for someone who wants to travel to different destinations like you've mentioned locally?
Okay, you find somebody, okay, I get a client, he wants to go to, let's say, Mombasa, and he gives me the date and the month. He doesn't have he doesn't have to have the cash at once. We can talk, and then he can start paying kidogo kidogo, so that afikishe hiyo pesa yote ya could travel.
Okay.
Yes.
I hear you. What percentage of savings do you recommend for travel? I have just given a classical example that right now in the country we are dealing with high cost of living as is, and things don't come cheap. So the last thing on someone's mind is to save for travel, not on most Kenyans, but on a majority of Kenyans. But then here we are saying we want to increase, we are trying to embrace domestic tourism, and we want to increase our revenue as far as domestic tourism is concerned. So what will be recommended as far as savings is concerned, and for how long if you want to travel to a particular destination?
I would recommend a certain percentage for someone to save.
What's the best approach there?
I'd say traveling. Like I said earlier, there is different safari. Like kuna budget safari, kuna private, kuna luxury. So kuna group joining and maybe day trips. So once you know you want to travel, and you know I want a private safari, then you start saving early enough and save as much as you can. Yeah, for you to have that private personalized safari. Yeah.
What is the most, let me not say cheapest, what is the most affordable place to go in Kenya?
The most affordable?
Yes.
I'd say everywhere is affordable because we have accommodation, we have the luxury one, middle, budget.
I'm asking in terms of, I'm just assuming that there's perhaps a Kenyan watching and they're thinking, so is a traveling. I mean, that's for a specific set of people in this country.
No, it's not for a specific set. We have everything for everyone.
Yeah.
Kuna day trip yenye hautahitaji kulipa 100,000 kwenda. Hautahitaji kulipa accommodation ama nini.
So this is the most affordable one, let's say.
I think day trip is kind of, it's
How
much
affordable. Are we talking about that you're saying it's the most affordable?
Like
on a rough estimate.
Depends on where you're going, the destination, because if you're going to Naivasha, it will not be the same price as going to Amboseli for a day trip, or maybe Savo, or maybe Nairobi National Park. Nairobi National Park, maybe you can pay 2,500 a day trip. Yeah.
Okay, so it depends on the specific destination.
Yeah, it depends on the destination where you're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been some of the complaints of Kenyans that you even interact with as far as traveling is concerned? What is this that they perhaps would want to see a difference and a change so that they can start embracing traveling from where you sit? You've interacted with Kenyans while you're booking them in, you know, while they're saying, I feel like maybe we should change something in terms of policies, in terms of even how customers are handled. What really is this that perhaps Kenyans complain about as far as traveling is concerned?
I would say, according to me, what they complain more about is I would say cash, money.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Is that so?
They talk about the high cost of living. Yes.
So they say it's expensive to travel.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking, what's the most affordable place to visit? So then from your perspective also as a travel company, there's been quite a lot of issues as far as tourism is concerned. We have had concerns about human-wildlife conflict, where we are seeing some Kenyans encroaching to the land that is predominantly wildlife land. There's been quite a lot of complaints perhaps from KWS just trying to demarcate some of these areas, because if you don't have these sceneries in these areas, then what are Kenyans going to see? For example, if you talked about the Big Five, if you talked about some of these areas and sceneries, what will they go to see? Is this some of those things that you deal with as a travel company, the human-wildlife conflict, and if so, to what end and capacity?
Human-wildlife conflict, like I think I don't know if I think it's last month there was a complaint where I think an elephant had invaded someone's shamba in Amboseli, and they were really complaining. They were hungry. They wanted to kill, I think, the elephants, and then the KWS have to come in. You know, if they destroy their wildlife, then what will they go and see in the parks? There will be nothing to go and see. And then the KWS, they have to do something, because I think their case was like, we've been complaining about this for a very long time. They have been promising us that it will not be happening, but it's still happening. So I think they should do something.
What is this thing? As in, what would you propose to be done Just what comes to your mind? How should we deal with?
Maybe fencing of the parks. I know some like Masai Mara, there are some areas which are fenced and others are not fenced. So maybe fencing can help to reduce the human-wildlife conflict, and also educating the locals, those who are around the park, educating them on the importance of taking care of the wildlife, and also how to interact with them, because they definitely have to interact with the wildlife. Yeah, so educating them is very important. Yeah.
So this education lies with, this is the responsibility of who?
Of, I think everyone. Like I did a training at Ecotourism Kenya, and we did community-based tourism, where we were taught about how to improve the communities and involve them in the tourism, the communities around the national parks and game parks. So I think it's a responsibility for everyone, and themselves also. Yeah.
The locals themselves.
Yeah.
Felicitas, have you engaged in some of these trainings to train local about how to interact with the wildlife, just as she has? Have you?
Not really.
Not really.
Yes.
So then, from where you sit, whose responsibility is this? Because it comes out as a perennial problem, not just for the locals, but also for some of these tours and travel company. Because I mean, if Kenyans are to go to some of these areas, what will they see if some of this wildlife become extinct, for instance? Who has the responsibility of this?
For the training?
Yeah. Education
training. I would say the KWS people.
All right, so then as we bring this conversation to a close, I just want to finish up with you, Ida. We're talking about post-COVID. This is what, 3 years, I should say, about 3 years later. Yes, the industry is not doing that bad, but still not that good either.
Yeah.
What is this that perhaps the sector can employ to increase its revenue? Because right now, when we talk about increase of revenue, we are benchmarking with 2019, how the revenue was as at that time. What can the industry do to increase its revenue, both domestically and internationally, as a consultant? What is your 2 cents?
For them to attract more clients or travelers, I think the levies, they should do something on them, because I think it was last week I got someone from, I think it was Nigeria, and he wanted to come to Kenya to do Nairobi National Park and a city tour. And then when I sent them the rates, they were like, wow.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. The entrance fee for Nairobi National Park, it was just, I think she was a lady. She was complaining, it's very high. Why can't you reduce? Why? And then I can't do something about it because it's already there, and they have to pay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think
it's something we need to be looking into.
Looking to, and then the human-wildlife conflict also, they should also do something about it and reduce.
I hear you.
And also, right now, as we're talking, you know, how the state of the country is like politics. We are really doing bad because of it. Yeah.
The mandamano is not
mandamano, yeah. Because no one would want to come to Kenya like right now. Utapata tu wame-cancelled because of the insecurity cases. Yeah.
People will cancel because of the rife insecurity cases.
Yeah, the political instability.
So then how do we work around that? Not to injure the business.
I think they should sit down and do something. I mean, come into an agreement. Yeah, and end the mandamano thing.
They should end the mandamano thing and come to an agreement.
Yeah.
All right, I hear you. All right, thank you so much, ladies, for your time and for your inputs into this conversation. We definitely have to cap it at this particular point.